start. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our forum of Passion Talks. Today we have extremely special guest, JK, as we call him, and he's going to tell us in detail about various kind of things he's been doing apart from drinking wine at this point of time in Australia. So it's midnight. So first of all, thanks very much for giving your time to us. And then we would like you to go through your journey from corporate, because as we see through your profile, you've been into chemistry, then MBA first, and then 20 years in corporate, and then into adventure, and then extreme adventure. Please share your journey. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. So my name is Jason KRISHNAN. I'll be turning 50 this November. You guys like to tell your age, so here it is. So I live in Australia. So I have Indian heritage from my father's side. I don't speak Hindi, unfortunately, but I do like Hindi music, and I do watch Hindi movies as well. I think Ronald's going to ask me some questions about what movies I like and all that. So today's presentation is to share my life's passion in line with our group's namesake, Passion Talks. And I'm very honored to be able to do this. And I do know that there are a lot of amazing stories and people in this group. Wow, you know, all these ultra marathoners, Olympians and all that. So to me, though, whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, the common thing is the willingness to pursue our dreams, yeah? Oftentimes, this involves a lot of sacrifices, and timing is also with opportunities. It's also important that we get opportunities to present themselves at the right time, and then we get the chance to pursue these dreams. Okay, so I've been a chartered chemist by trade, and I've worked for over 20 years in the corporate world. BSc in chemistry, MBA in technology management. I quit my corporate job in 2015 because I decided that it was time for me to pursue my dreams rather than working on someone else's dreams. I don't recommend it to simply quit your job, as it's very hard to live without money. The corporate world is always, there's a lot of money involved in there.
Right.
But it's not the most important thing in life here. I think eventually everyone will reach a point in life where we ask this question: is the corporate world, is the money more important than pursuing our dreams? But I cannot answer that question for you. You will have to answer that yourselves, okay? So today I will talk about my sporting life and how I evolved in sports to do the things that I'm passionate about, and to motivate others to be the best that they can be. You cannot always be the best, but you can be the best that you can be, okay? There's only one winner. Everybody else, you know, second, third, fourth. So
Absolutely.
I also tell you, yeah, and also tell you a bit about our indoor climbing center, our altitude gym, and also my travel business. So these are the things that I'm passionate about. So, you know, that's what I do these days. So a bit of history. I was a very active cyclist, swimmer, runner, and triathlete. I've done a few half Ironmans, quite a lot actually, and one Ironman. These sports consumed me to the point where I was burnt out, you know, constantly competing, training. And the biggest stresses, I think, for a competitive person is wanting to win and always wanting to get personal best, you know, whether it's your age group or whatever it is. And after some time, I think you just feel like you can't do it anymore. So in 2010, I went to Everest Base Camp for the first time, had a fantastic time there. And I spent my 40th birthday there by myself. I returned to Australia, and then I decided to focus on climbing and more like ultra distance running, like marathons, ultra marathons. It's less crowded, and the focus is within. When you do like a 10K run, 5K run, if you do pretty well in it, you're always trying to chase, you know, people. But these days, I want to focus on myself, on what I think is more important. So Everest Base Camp was quite easy. When I came back, I thought, oh yeah, this is a piece of cake. So then I went to New Zealand. I climbed Mount Cook, which is the highest mountain in New Zealand. That mountain is fantastic. On the top there, you can see the west coast and the east coast. So two sides of the oceans from the top of the mountain. And then I also did a lot of ice climbing trips in Australia and New Zealand. I got a bit overconfident with my ability, okay? So here's the problem with people going to mountaineering from an athletic base. You are fit and you think I can do everything, and I end up with the because you thought you can, you know, you're bulletproof, yeah. So I ended up with the Mountaineering Accident. I can talk about that. You can ask me questions here. In 2013, there was about 1 year after I climbed Mount Cook, I went to Denali. That mountain is fucking cold. It's very, very cold. And
Right.
winds there are crazy. So I was affected by the altitude. I tell you why that happened. I was pretty strong then. I was doing a lot of weightlifting and everything, and I was about 10 kilos heavier. And I pulled 2 sleds. I was pulling a lot of weight, and I thought I was bulletproof. So what happens at altitude, if you work too hard in the beginning, it catches up with you later on. I passed out for 3 days. My oxygen saturation went to under 35%. Okay. Luckily, there were some doctors there, and I met one of the guides that helped me, a Nepali guy, and I met him at Manaslu. It was just funny enough, and he saw me and said, "Oh, JK, you know, like you've totally lost weight." It was just a
Yeah.
coincidence. But I was very lucky. There were some doctors there that they saved me, and you know, I'm still alive. So that was a very big lesson in me into respecting the mountains.
Absolutely.
So I came back, and I became more and more dissatisfied with chasing the dollar. I kept running marathons, ultra marathons, increased my mileage to 120 k's per week, which is nothing compared to the elites. Yeah, I was reading 300 k's per week. That's crazy. Yeah. And then in 2015, I was riding my bike to work, you know, and I got into an accident. A young guy, learner driver, went past me and I hit him. And I was
Oh,
off work for 2 months. So that was pretty bad. So 2 months, I've never taken time off, always work, work, work. So the time off at home, I had time to reflect, you know, like what I want to do with my life. So I decided I needed to climb harder and get even more fitter. So the day I went back to job, when I went back to my work, I quit. You know, so I said, look, I'm not coming back anymore, and I gave my notice. So I had 2 months. I think they wanted me to stay, and then after that, I teamed up with an investor, and we established a climbing center and an altitude gym. So the altitude gym came about because I thought, well, I got affected by the altitude, and I went to a center in Sydney and I got tested. So I thought, well, this is a good area to train, you know. So that's why I thought I want to put an altitude gym in our town. So our climbing center mainly attracts kids, but we're also trying to establish an adult center. The climbing scene is very active in Australia, and I promote and teach the sport as well. So I like young kids or people wanting to learn how to climb. I teach them, take them out, learn to climb. So I mostly climb outdoors, and I've traveled quite a bit climbing, and I've seen some really amazing sights. And the people, you know, like climbers, like most athletes, you know, I just gel with them, and I just have good time with them. So travel and climbing go hand in hand with me. Um, so the altitude gym, you can ask me questions if you want. It's a very special place for me. It's my second home. The oxygen level there is reduced to about 13.5%. At sea level, it is 20.9%. Okay, 13.5% is about 4,000 meters. Okay, so we
okay.
train. So we train all of elite. So there's a machine in the room. In case you're wondering how we make it so low, there's a machine in the room that sucks out all the oxygen, and it blows the oxygen to exhaust. So in the room, it's very low oxygen. We replace it with nitrogen, which is an inert gas. Okay. So we train a lot of elite athletes, from national representatives to ultra running to professional kickboxers. And of course, we've got high altitude trackers, people going to Kilimanjaro, Everest Base Camp, Aconcagua, and a lot of mountaineers. So I tell you a story. I wanted to break a world record a few years ago. I wanted to climb an 8,000 meter peak without oxygen and acclimatizing only in the gym. Okay. That is very hard. So I know now it's already done. It's been proven by Kilian Jornet, the Spanish,
Right.
and the US guy, Adrian. Kilian went up twice, yeah, and Adrian Ballinger, I think last year he climbed K2 as well. The
Okay.
thing is, these two guys are always climbing anyway, so I think they're already pre-acclimatized. But the experiment for a scientist is to get somebody who lives at sea level, train in the gym, and then climb the mountain.
So
So
in that case, you just one sec. So in that case, you mean to say after acclimatizing in the gym, you don't acclimatize on ground and directly go to a certain altitude, let's say 4,000 or 5,000.
correct. And the
Okay.
reason why we do this, in my head, yeah, when we climb an 8,000 meter peak, we spend almost 2 months in the mountain. It's quite dangerous. I mean, you guys are Everest summitists, you go up and down. Camp 1, Camp 2, come back down. You're doing
Correct.
all these rotations. you are out there on the glacier for a long time. There's avalanches, there's crevasses. You need to have food, and your strength gets, like your body deteriorates, and you're always in danger. So if we can avoid that, I think this will be the future. But there's not sufficient proof or a protocol to show how it can be done. Okay,
Right.
but I'm pretty sure it can be done. Another thing that I think, this is a sidetrack, another thing that I think can be done as well in the future is, instead of climbing down, people will fly down using a wingsuit. But the technology is going to be better as well. So I was actually planning on doing that for some of the mountains that was climbing, but just too much time, and money involved with that. So
Exactly.
I in 2018 I climbed to about 8,000 meter on Manaslu without oxygen. Bharat is here. He heard I was doing it, so he was doing the same thing. I think he will probably tell you. I think we suffered a little bit. I was up ahead. He was behind with a few other climbers, and these other guys in the front were using oxygen. So I caught up to them. It was a bit hard without oxygen, and very cold. Yeah, and it's always cold, So yeah, Bharat can tell you that. But I know it is possible. I know it's possible to do it. So now, if you are going to like lower altitude, say 5,000, 6,000 meters, I don't think it's a problem at all. All our gym members, they've obtained personal best times with their running and after training in our hypoxic gym. Also with our trackers, none in the 5 years we've operated, none have suffered from altitude sickness. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's really good feedback. I mean, for me as a business owner, seeing that this works, I'm really happy.
Right.
The time when this will not work is that if you are already trained in the altitude gym and you become stupid, when you go to altitude, you start drinking too much and you're going too fast, then you pay the price. I always tell my guys, be the last in your team. When I was younger, when I started, I'll be the first. I want to be the first there, first everywhere.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Go back, enjoy the scenery, take some photos, chat, take your time. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So not long after our gym opened, I established a travel company. So we specialize only in high altitude stuff, only the difficult stuff, high altitude trekking and climbing. And we get a lot of queries from people going to high altitude locations, just wanting to know how to train, how to cope with low oxygen. So what I do is I provide as much information as I can, also travel information, so so that you can prepare, so that, after spending 6 months to a year planning for your trip, you actually enjoy your trip. You go to Gorakshep these days, you see people from all over the world, they are coughing, they're suffering, they want to go home, yeah? Helicopter, take me down, that's all they want.
Absolutely.
Altitude team members, we are doing burpees. We're doing burpees there. We're enjoying, and so yeah, so there are things you can do. I mean, in India, you can get plenty of information. There's plenty of Everest summiteers in your group. Bharat, he's got lots of information. He's done lots of things, so you guys can get a lot of information there. One thing I've noticed in the climbing world, especially in high altitude climbing, is that women are very underrepresented. Okay, not many women climb. I don't know what it is, just because, I don't know, it's a guy thing, but I want to promote this a little bit more in our gym, to run a more women's only trekking trips. In fact, in our gym now, we actually do women's only trekking trips to Kilimanjaro. So I'm actually discussing with my partner in Spain about doing an all-girls trip to Aconcagua this December. Hopefully the borders open. But there is a group called the Cholitas Escaladoras from Bolivia. These are a group of women. They climbed Aconcagua dressed in their traditional garments. I thought about following their footsteps, because was it 2 years ago? An Indian team from Hyderabad. They dressed in saris and they climbed Kosciuszko. It's just crazy. I mean, it's hard enough going.
Raji also did, I think. That's what she was mentioning the other day.
Yes, Raji, Sujana, and Lavanya, and a few of them, Sven as well. So I think if we can do something like that for Aconcagua, that'll be really good. I mean,
Vancouver is not going to be, I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult. I mean, sorry. Maybe once they
yes,
train in the gym for some time, because, as you said, there have been lots and lots of instances. We have seen people who came all the way from US thinking they'll save time and directly landing on the base camp and then going back immediately, in not even trying to go up the summit, because they were keen on going to the summit. They had less time, so they thought they'll leave the acclimatization part, but then not training, and then coming on the helipad, getting down, not realizing that the body is going to take time, and then reverting back to the US without even starting a bit. So yes, it makes a difference. But what
yes.
intrigues me is, you said you had 3 days you passed out in Denali, which is, I mean, too much. 3 days, and that too Denali. After that, generally a sane person would not even think of going for mountaineering, thinking that, okay, now I've survived, my life is precious. What made you to work so hard again and come back and then do much difficult peaks?
Well, because I know the mistake that I made. If you could not succeed because of a mistake that you made. My mistake is to be overconfident, to carry too much. I was pulling 2 sleds and a very heavy pack, and I was also 10 kilos heavier, so I lost a lot of weight because you're carrying a lot of muscle in your body. I could squat like with the 240 kilos. Okay, I could deadlift 180 kilos. I was very strong. I was bigger, but it's got no use. Muscles consume oxygen. Okay, you have to be built like a runner to survive. Like probably not like a marathon runner, probably a bit more stronger, because you carry a bit of weight as well. You need to have most of the climbers, they will, like 2 weeks before you climb, you eat a lot. You want to get a bit fat so you can have some reserves. Because on the mountain you can't eat properly. Yeah, so you want to have some weight on you instead of becoming super skinny and super heavy. So the main thing on high altitude peaks is to take your time. Don't rush it. Don't be the first. So why I came back, like for me there was a problem, and there is a solution to it. You change your body shape, change your training, and then do that again. And I know now it works because I've been to 8,000 meters without oxygen. I've been to Everest Base Camp now, no problems. But we all take our time. Oh, the other thing is to drink lots of water. I don't tend to drink a lot of water. I mean, I drink a lot of wine, like tonight. But you need to drink a lot of water. I'll tell you why, and there's a bit of this information is important. If you understand the science behind altitude, when you're at high altitude, your kidneys produce a hormone that helps, EPO it's called. Okay, so the marathon runners, EPO, you can inject it and you can become super strong.
Super fast.
Yeah, but your body actually produces EPO. So the part that produces EPO is your kidney. Okay, you want to keep your kidneys happy. So the way to keep it happy is that you drink lots of water, so that it's flushed through. There's no problems with it. Your blood is thin, and it helps with acclimatizing. Now, drinking lots of water is not enough. The way I tell my trackers is not to see how much you drink, it's to see how often you go to the toilet. Some people are heavy sweaters. They sweat a lot, so the water is not going through your kidney. You want to be going to the toilet, peeing every 3 to 4 hours. Okay,
absolutely.
Your urine as clear as possible. If you're doing that continuously, then you're well hydrated. Okay, so that's my biggest tip that I give to my trackers. So if anybody has got other things to share, feel free. Also, don't drink alcohol.
Right.
Like when you're going up, avoid drinking alcohol if you can, because all this sort of stuff, and avoid exerting too much exertion. Don't stay up late. Go to bed early. Just take it easy. When you're coming down, it's different. Yeah, then you can party. You can drink as much as you want.
Right. Absolutely. In fact, that reminds me, what we used to do, as a team leader, we used to make sure that we used to check the pee bottles every day. What is the color of urine? And because at times, at altitude, nobody drinks enough water and becomes too dark. So that means the person is not paying adequate attention to the kind of hydration he or she should be having. So that becomes a vital sign to judge whether you're doing it correctly or not. So that's a very, very valid point. Everybody needs to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, so that's the reason why I came back to mountaineering, because I wanted to solve a problem that I knew that I could improve on. So that's what happened. So one more sport that I do is running. I'll talk a bit about running, because running is actually the backbone of many sports. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys here run marathons and all that, which is really good. Once you run a few times a week consistently, you almost need to run to stay sane. You know, like if you don't run, you feel this funny. Yeah, all of you
Right.
guys, yeah, you know that. Yeah. So my run days are Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, 20 kilometers per run. It takes about 2 hours, relax, you know. If I'm competing, that's about 60 kilometers a week. If I'm competing in ultras, then Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well will be 10-kilometer runs. So it'll be like 6, 7, 8, 90 kilometers a week before I peak. Saturday is a rest day. Saturday is for climbing. I'm always climbing.
Okay.
So I know my mileage is nowhere close to the elite level, but I want to talk to the beginners in this group. Okay,
Yeah.
100 kilometers of running a week, it's 80 to 100 is no problem. You need to be able to do. You want to do an ultra marathon, 100-kilometer run, you must have a lot of time on your feet. Okay, you'll take
Absolutely.
if you want to run a marathon, 16 weeks is a normal thing. Okay, once you've done a few races and you have a running lifestyle, which means more than 50 kilometers a week of running, like for me, it takes probably about 8 weeks to prepare for an ultra. Okay, but the base, it's always a lot of time running, or even slow runs, but time on your feet so that your knees are strong, your cardiovascular is strong. And also for the mountaineer, I think that's important as well, because you can go out for a trip. It can be a 20-hour before you get back to base camp, 20 plus hours. If you get stuck in a storm, it might be 30 hours, and you need to be able to survive on little sleep, and still your legs aren't automatic. You can still keep moving. So it is very important. Like to me, it's very important to be running. If you can't run, put a heavy pack on and walk. Just spend time walking. Yeah. So I've completed a few interesting runs. The hardest would be the 100K Ultra Trail Australia. That's run in the Blue Mountains. So I'll tell you a story. You get a bronze medal if you complete it in under 20 hours. The first time when I did it, I just missed out by about 15 minutes. I was chatting, socializing, instead of running. So then the next run, I got in under an hour. So I thought, oh yeah, so now I've improved. Then they also give a silver buckle if you complete it in under 13 hours. So I thought, I got to cut off about 6 hours from my time. So I thought, yes, I want to go aim for the silver buckle. So the year when I ran it, I was actually exactly on time, because I ran with a pacer.
Okay.
It was a very hot day, and believe it or not, my pacer pulled out. He couldn't continue. So it became a nightmare. So don't do this, guys. I'm just going to tell you what I do. To control my knee pains, I take Voltaren, the pills. I take the pills so I don't feel the pain. On the day of the race, I dropped my pills and I couldn't find it. So it was painful. And then my watch died as well. So I got no idea of my pace,
Pacing.
So I end up with a PB, I end up with a PB, but no silver buckle.
Wow.
So that's 13 hours or 6 hours from your improvement. It's a bit hard. So I'll try another time. Another interesting marathon that I did was Kilimanjaro. Okay. So I ran this Kilimanjaro Marathon 1 week after summiting Kilimanjaro. Okay. So here's the thing. People climb the 7 summits, right? So I'm thinking, why does Summit do a marathon as well? So I want to run a marathon as well in every continent. So so Kilimanjaro was very nice. So I've ran in Africa. I've ran in most continents. I've just got a few more to go. And then another interesting one was the Great Wall of China Marathon.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Don't.
It is. I will show you some video. It is steep. Yeah. It is just. Oh, God! It was hard. I think it took about 6 hours to run a marathon. It was just, initially I was in the top 30, I was running, and then I just went down. It was hard. It was very hard, but the views are amazing. Okay. Really, really nice from there. And it's very special as well because you run on the Great Wall. Then the next one I also did the Rio Marathon in Brazil. Rio is full on party. It's very nice. You get to drink, nice women, nice beach, but it's very hot there. 35 degrees. 35 degrees was pretty hot. So after the marathon, I also went for a climb, and you probably heard of Sugarloaf Mountain. It's right in the heart of Rio. So I climbed that. I'll show you some photos. It's from there you can see Christos Redentos, the Christ standing there, Christ the Redeemer. It's a very nice shaped granite rock. So so I haven't climbed the highest summit in South America, but hopefully this year will be Aconcagua. I can get that as well. And waiting for the borders as well. Hope maybe run a marathon in Europe this year as well if the travel ban is lifted. Then all I got to do is US and Antarctica, and then I'm done for all the continents. So just 2 more. Enough, no more marathons. So I'll share some of my climbing mountaineering stories. My first serious mountain was New Zealand's tallest, called Araki Mount Cook. It's only 3,700 meters. New Zealand is really special. You get all the technical climbing, all the snow, all the glaciers and everything, but minus the altitude. So you can really do some really technical stuff there without the altitude. So it just makes it easier to train. There's a lot of glacier travel. So for Mount Cook, it involves a bit of rock climbing in crampons. I don't know whether you've ever done that before, but climbing rocks in crampons is a bit scary. And there's a bit of ice climbing and some really... New Zealand, we climb without fixed ropes. Okay, so there are no fixed. Nobody puts any ropes there. No stakes, cams, wires, anchors, ice screws. You know how to use all that. The exposure on Mount Cook was insane. Yeah, I can see planes flying below, and there was no margin for error because there are no fixed rope. We are putting it ourselves. If you make a mistake, you pay the price yourself. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I'll show you some photos from the top, but it was really scary. But any serious mountaineers, you'll need to develop this mindset and a skill set that you can survive independently on the mountain without support, even from your Sherpas. I mean, the Sherpas have to show you the route to help you if there's a problem, but if something happens to them, you should also be able to look after yourself. So
that's absolutely important. On Everest, that's why we see many people getting casualty, because at times the Sherpa is not feeling well, he's not able to support you, and that is the time everything crumbles. Yeah, that's why people who are not able to support on their own, they suffer badly. That's true.
Yeah, I've seen climbers who are not able to put on their harnesses by themselves. It was just crazy. They're standing with their hands up like that, standing up. Sherpa is putting on for them. They can't put on their crampons. Because I've heard stories, but I've actually seen it with my own eyes on Manaslu. So that was a bit shocking. Also, people are not knowing how to use their crampons to climb. To climb down, climb up, are using the ice axe. They are, they shouldn't be there. But anyway, that's life.
Sure.
So in New Zealand, I also attempted Mount Tasman, which is second highest. I climbed it twice. But I haven't summited yet. We turned around because of conditions. On my second attempt, I didn't summit, but we logged in a new route. We call it Give It 80. So we always climb at 80% and keep 20% in reserve in case we get in trouble. This route was super crazy because nobody climbed that day. Avalanches, and then the snow was up to the waist high. We found this vertical ice wall. And I thought, you know what? I can avoid all this snow by climbing that. But I made a bad mistake, and I wasn't going to admit to it. But I forgot to bring my ice screws. So we had this 50 meters of ice. I climbed with 2 ice screws. That was my craziest climb. And I didn't get scared until I got to the top. When I got to the top, because my partner saying, no more rope, no more rope. I looked down, I said, fuck, this is crazy. If I fall, there's no way the ice screw is going to hold. So that was the only time that I found myself, shaking, and I was shaking. Normally, if you're shaking on the climb, there's a problem. but that time it was good, you know.
Absolutely.
Uh, so my other mountaineering ones that are quite good, that I enjoy, I think you can ask me a question, is Amadablam.
Right.
Amadablam is really, that was a very nice expedition, 6,800 meters, something like that.
Right.
Um,
And it's beautiful. I
the
mean, anybody who goes to that area is fascinated by Ahmedabad's beauty. I mean, it's just too
yes,
good.
yeah, I will show you some photos too. A really nice
Right.
mountain. The technical section, I found it pretty. I didn't find it very hard. Yeah, physical exertion is different because you're climbing with a pack on crampons. But the rock climbing itself is not a very difficult grade. So it's not. I mean, if you climb a lot of rock, then it's not too bad. You know, I do climb rock quite a bit. So like to
Okay.
me, that part wasn't too bad. But you guys need to practice. If you want to climb Amadablam, you need to be able to climb rock properly. I've seen people who are trying to climb it that could not climb rock, and they should not be on the mountain. If you can't climb, you
True.
shouldn't be on the mountain. Yeah.
Right. Right.
I did my first 8,000 meter peak in 2018, Manaslu,
Okay.
which I mentioned before. I got to just under 8,000 meter without oxygen, and then it was just getting very hard, and the Sherpas weren't too happy because for safety. I think Bharat got forced to put on oxygen as well. You know, they
Right.
got into some discussion. But once you put oxygen on, you can't take it off
Then it's a
anymore.
different world altogether. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's so much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found Manaslu to be not technically hard. There were some sections
Okay.
there, climbing the ladders and all that. It wasn't hard, you know. But the physical exertion without oxygen initially, that was tough, and
Right.
the cold as well. After Manaslu, I went straight on to Island Peak, and there was I mean, I've lost the weight and acclimatized. Like Island Peak was nothing; it just easy, you know. So yeah. Um, I'll talk a bit about rock climbing as well. I think, like I said before, it's a very useful skill set to have for a mountaineer. The rock climbing scene in Australia is actually very active. We have lots of rock to climb here. Now, all the rope work that you learn and the climbing techniques, they are 100% transferable to mountaineering. And it's a great way to keep your skills fresh for the mountains. You know, if you're looking at technical alpine style mountaineering. Um, so when you say climb, when I say climbing, rock climbing, I also talk about ice climbing as well. Ice climbing, it is really cool once you've tried it. Like I go to New Zealand only to climb. Well, I climb rock as well there, but the ice climbing there is really nice. Okay, really enjoyable. I've also rock climbed in a city called Yangshuo in China. It's very nice.
Okay.
A lot of unclimbed rock there as well. Um,
Great.
for the mountaineer, I think learning how to ski and to snowshoe is also quite important. It makes
Okay.
I mean the Himalayan glaciers. There's not much. No, I think some areas you can ski, but like you know, not all mountains are easy to ski across. You know, you sort of walk across it. But other mountains in the world, like Denali, for example, you can ski it, or you definitely will need to use snowshoes when the snow is quite deep. You can't walk in crampons. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about
Okay.
climbing.
Other thing you tell me, I have always felt, I also made the same mistake, the one which you were referring to, that, being a good runner and considering running as a backbone, you tend to become overconfident. Do you think that was one of
Yes.
the reasons you suffered in the beginning? Because of inexperience, you feel you've been running for so long, you've been fit, been cycling for so long, so you can do climbing part easier. So is it one of those feelings which comes into mind to make you overconfident?
Yeah, you can, but if you're aware of that, if you're aware that you can possibly become overconfident,
Right.
then you can manage it. Yes, people are telling you. See, I'm saying this as well because I've learned from this, and whoever's new
True.
on the group here, like trust me, when you become overconfident, you think, oh, this is easy. You know, I can do
Absolutely.
this. That's when you get into trouble. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
step back a little bit and try to learn from people in front of you, and watch them and learn. Like the easiest, the best way to do it is to watch others. Watch the team leaders, watch the ones who have done it multiple times, and see what they do. Just copy them, you know, and ask a lot of questions. And doing training is probably the best thing. If you can get any mountaineering training courses you can do, there are lots of books, you know, you can read as well. There's one called Crevasse Rescue and Glacier Travel.
Okay.
1 second.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. That's fine.
I don't know whether you can see this.
Yeah. Leisure travel and crevasse rescue.
Yeah,
Very
this
nice.
is a very, very nice book. You can get lots of really good information there,
Okay.
telling you how to do rescues and stuff like that. Okay,
Okay.
so wait 1 second. Yeah, so read up on stuff. There's a lot of stuff on the internet that you can read about, and
True.
don't just read about it. Practice it as well. You know, practice it and speak to
Yeah.
people. Speak to mountaineers who've done it before. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So the other part of my life involves traveling. So climbing
Okay.
is a great way to see the world. Mountain areas are very scenic, and after climbing, you can go around. You know, ski resorts are normally around if you like to ski. I want to talk about Japan. Japan is really nice. They got
Okay.
hot springs. You know, you finish your climbing, you finish your skiing, you go to the hot spring, you relax in there. You got nice
True.
food. You got sake. You know, you drink all that, and then it's good fun. You know, like you do a boys trip or whatever it is. You just go out and you know.
But tell me
So
this: have you done climbing in India as well? Any mountains in northern
not yet.
India or anywhere?
Not,
Okay.
not. I've only been motorbikeing to
Okay.
Manali, to Leh, and I'll show you some
Okay.
photos on that. But I have
Right.
not done it, and I'm very, very keen to. I think. Well, I know Bharat is organizing some climbing in India very soon.
Right.
The name starts with M. I can't remember the names. Okay, so I'm actually my company. We're collaborating with Boots and Crampons to put on
Okay.
some interesting trips here. So I think I said before, Aconcagua, I'm really keen to put on like an all women's team. You know, I think because they're quite underrepresented, so having a women's group on Aconcagua would be quite exciting. So the trips that my company do out to the Himalayas, Kilimanjaro, but Boots and Crampons also do Aconcagua, Elbrus, Cartons Pyramid. And if you guys want to come to Kosciuszko in Australia, oh, a very tough mountain. You can walk up. If you wear a sari, it'll be pretty hard.
Right.
Yeah. So we're talking about doing Denali and
Correct.
with Bharat, and there's two more secret locations, and he can tell you about that when he
Okay.
talks next time. So I'm also planning to do more climbs in South America. I'm actually going to take about maybe a year off, 6 months to a year off to climb in South America and in Europe,
Okay.
and then I can decide on what mountains are suitable, like to bring people on for training. Yeah. So to conclude, how are we doing for time?
No, no,
Okay, to
that's fine.
conclude,
I have.
we got time. Yeah.
Yeah, we have enough
So
time. We would like to have the photographs which you are showing. I mean,
sure.
photographs as well
Yeah.
as the videos. That will be
Yeah,
nice.
sure. I will just say that so next year we're doing Kanchenjunga because this year the
Okay.
Kanchenjunga trip has been put off, and I've got my name down for a few 8,000-meter peaks in Pakistan as well. So, but I'm going to
Okay.
focus on technical unclimbed peaks. Yeah. So
Nice.
I want to encourage everyone to train and to learn as much as you can to make your trip safe. Yeah.
True.
Cardio endurance is very important. The information in this group, I think, is immense. You should speak to each other, and it's quite easy to switch from. So here, these marathon runners, you can become mountaineers as well. Come to the dark side.
No,
Okay.
no, that's why the moment I read about you, once you said running is the backbone of this, I realized, I mean, everybody can relate to it because the cardio
Yeah,
system automatically becomes extremely well. But then the
yeah,
only
yeah,
thing is you don't have to be overconfident that because you're a runner, you can do easily on the altitude as well. That
yeah,
makes a
yeah.
difference.
At the end of the day, we want to live our passions. You want to climb. You still want to come back safely to your family. Yeah. So you need to be able to do that.
True, true.
So yeah. Okay. So what I'll do now is I'll share some photos
Right.
and um, share screen.
Here we go. All right, let's go.
This is how you pack your car on a budget. This is New Zealand.
Right.
Come on, old man. Hey.
This is the cheapest car we can get.
Yeah. Come on. Oh, great pocket. Let's go around and get marker. Row marker. Oh, well, we'll have a look at this. What's in here? What are you? Plenty of room.
Fully loaded, huh?
Oh, one more to go. Yeah. That's the car. Great. There's two more in there somewhere. Holy moly, guys.
Nice.
Okay. Wait 1 second. Okay, this is rock climbing in New Zealand. Here is the glacial area near Mount Cook. So all this is glacial areas. Rock climbing here as well. This here is Sugarloaf in Rio.
Oh, nice.
The cable cars are going up, and that's where we climb. We go up from here like that.
Great.
So here, climbers. It's actually quite nice doing that. You come to the top, and then yeah, and you see the people coming up in the cable cars.
Beautiful.
This is some people climbing in Australia. We are teaching people how to rock climb. So this is all pretty easy, and they're learning how to lead climb. You know, that's just me on a roof climbing.
Amazing.
Here's a photo I like to show people. This is a climb called Sweet Dreams. A lot of exposure. That's me here. It's a friend of mine.
Great.
This here is in Tasmania. I'll just show you some.
Wow.
This here is climbing by the sea. Once you go down, the only way out is to climb, and you got to climb fast because the ocean will come up.
Oh. Right.
Okay. These are some photos of ice climbing. So we bring our own gear. So we set up our own tents, we dig our own kitchen, we cook our own food, and
Nice.
we're able to survive there for up to a week, maybe more. Okay, depending on what
nice.
you do. Yeah, that's my tent over here. You can see our cooker here.
Right.
And then we go climb. Here is in a storm. You still have to eat when it's a storm, so you can get a lot of snow sometimes, too much snow, so it becomes. You need to be able to manage situations like that. Yeah. This ice climbing, skiing.
Beautiful.
And here, this is New Zealand. We're just climbing ice. We're going up here like that. It's
My God.
kind of. We also hire a helicopter to drop us off. When we're ready to go, we radio them, and then they come back and pick us up. So the helicopter just flies and just drops you off all your gear and everything.
So once you're dropped, then you're on your own.
Yes. Yeah. If you forget something, you're in trouble. If you forget to bring your matches, you can't light your stove. You're in trouble.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's ice climbing. Um, if you want to ask any questions, feel free. Yeah? So
Yeah,
this here is climbing Mount Cook. So you can see there's no fixed rope. Here we're trying to
oh,
cross a big run. You see the crack here? We're trying to find a way
right,
to cross it. In the Himalayas, you have a ladder.
right,
You normally put ladders and then you walk across. Here you have to find a way to cross it without falling in. So here we have our own rope. We carry the rope. We got the ice screws here. There's a long ice
correct,
screw, the ice axes, and then you got your your slings, and you got to do all that yourselves. Um, you can see the rope here going down. When you finish climbing, you got to abseil down. Over here
right,
is Mount. Yeah, so I tried to climb this mountain. I couldn't succeed yet.
right,
So
right,
here's the summit of Mount Cook here, Mount Cook. So we bring all our gear. We've got ice screws here. We got all our devices and the rope as
oh
well
my
that
God.
we got to. That's Mount Tasman here.
So this automatically becomes very heavy as well, because
Oh
this
yeah,
much of load you're carrying. So obviously it will be much more heavier than the normal stuff.
100%. Yeah. So you have to be very selective with what you take.
True.
So yeah,
That's right.
you probably take almost zero food, water, and just enough clothing so you stay warm. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, here is a snow cave. So this is one thing I was talking about before. You need to be able to survive. Let's say a massive storm hits. You need to dig a snow cave. You need how to know how to do this and to
Absolutely.
dig it out. It takes about 45 minutes for two persons to dig a snow cave,
Oh, nice.
and it's actually quite nice. There, you have a candlelight, and that's very romantic as well. And it's actually much more quieter in the snow cave compared to a tent.
Right.
Yeah. This picture is Denali. So you can see we're all pulling sleds, and yeah, and the sun never sets there when you go in summer. It's quite a nice
True.
mountain. So we travel in the middle of the night. This is middle of the night, so the sun is still it's sort of here. It doesn't set.
Okay.
Oh, what's that line? That's a sled.
Oh, oh.
This here is Manaslu Base Camp.
Okay.
Manaslu Base Camp. Yep.
So Manaslu expedition is again how many days? How much time does it take to?
About 50 days altogether, I think it is.
Okay. Got it.
Here we're trying to find a way. That's me here. These guys are waiting
Okay.
because we couldn't get across. I think that's one of the. I think it might be Pasang, and I went up there to help him look for a way to go. So we couldn't get across. We had to come back another time because it's too much
Okay.
crevasses. It's a bit dangerous.
Right.
So
Right.
not the whole team was up the top. They didn't come down. Here more crevasses. You got to go up. This is pretty. Not very technical,
Right.
but it's dangerous. You fall in there, just bad luck.
Absolutely.
This is
Yeah.
and this is the shadow. Really amazing.
Okay.
2018. Yeah. This here is Island Peak when you cross the glacier.
Right.
Yeah, very long glacier you can see. This is the summit of Island Peak. I'll show you a quick video.
Okay. Island Peak you did immediately after Manaslu.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And you can see after Manaslu, I didn't bring my smaller boots. Don't do this. This is too hot. And I also
Right.
have the 8,000 meter peak. The down jacket is too hot. Suffering.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. This is in Japan. I was climbing in Japan as well.
Okay.
It's a pretty easy mountain. Skiing in Japan. It's quite nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. And then I got travel. I'll show you some. So this is India riding Royal Enfields, and we're very we like the ganja here.
Wow.
Yeah, Baralacha Pass.
Very nice.
This is Manu and I can't remember Raji's son's name.
Okay.
We were going with the girls, the ladies here, so we're bored. It's like, so this is Chamina,
Stamina, yeah.
yeah. Ah, yes. That's a Nawab.
Nawab of Hyderabad. Huh? Very nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Then I went to Taj Mahal, deserted. Oh, this year is Kilimanjaro. You see the chameleon? They're wild.
Oh.
You can pick. Yeah,
Beautiful.
nice. The marathon.
This is again Kilimanjaro Marathon.
This is a Kilimanjaro Marathon. It's called the Kilimanjaro. You can't see it here, but yeah, Kilimanjaro Marathon.
Right.
Kilimanjaro. These are my two clients. This is Stella Point.
Okay.
The summit is a bit further away.
Okay. Still up.
And finally, I've got track and travel. This is China.
Beautiful. This was during the Great Wall of China Marathon.
Yes.
Nice.
This is a Great Wall of China Marathon. That's my company at the Altitude Gym. So that's
Right,
where we
right.
run. Yeah, look at it. Oh, man. Let me show you the video.
These guys are climbing up.
It's like rock climbing.
Yeah, it's very steep.
All fours. Nice.
This is Everest Base Camp in 2010. First went there.
Oh, nice. 2010.
2010, yeah. And this is 2016 with my clients.
Okay.
There. That here is Amadablam. If you got anybody who is interested in doing Amadablam, that's the mountain here. You climb on this side and you go up here like that. Yeah, Everest Base Camp. This is in Australia. We're just doing some trekking.
Okay. Wow.
Australia. So you should visit Australia one day. You can see all these views.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So, right, JK, I think we'll start with questions now because there are a few people who have asked questions on the chat box. So we'll start one by one on that.
Sure.
First is Chitra Sen wants to know, do you plan to open a high altitude gym in India as well? Any plans for that?
Speak to Bharat. He's visited.
Okay. No, the concept looks good. I've read a lot about that, but then looks amazing. Makes sense, a lot of sense.
Okay, so the altitude gym, if you guys are really interested in an altitude apparatus, you can actually rent the gear as well. The name of those companies will be, you can Google it. I think Hypoxico is one of the companies. And there's a few other smaller companies. You can actually hire those gear. So you put it on when you're sleeping, and or you can also train like that. If you Google Kilian Jornet and Adrian Bellinger, when they're doing the altitude training, they've got a video when you see them running with a mask on. And the mask has got a tube that goes to a machine, okay? So, and then the machine takes all the oxygen away.
No, because I remember there's something in Pune as well, because that's where the Indian Olympic team, marathoner team, they train. And that's where they have this kind of a altitude room or something they create that hypoxic environment there as well. So
Yeah,
I think, but then it's only for the elites, not for other people.
yeah, yeah.
That's true.
They don't. The elites don't talk about it. It's a top secret. Do you know
Right.
in horse racing? You know the horse racing.
Yeah.
Even the horses train at altitude.
Wow. But this is amazing. I didn't know.
True. It's not a story. It's true. They train there because they become fitter. They just perform so much better at sea level. Yeah. When you train at altitude, you go climbing. You just don't feel as bad. You just acclimatize. But when you train at altitude and you compete at sea level, that's when you become really strong.
Right. Okay, tell me this, if somebody wants to appear for a high altitude ultra marathon and he's staying at a sea level, how should he be training about that? Knowing your experience into high altitude gyms and all. So if I am at, let's say, sea level in Delhi, I want to run a race in a high altitude area, how should I train?
It'll be very, very difficult. If you're competing against athletes who are living at the high altitude and they are competitive as well, it's going to be very difficult. The best way to train, if you haven't got a high altitude apparatus, is to swim.
Okay.
When you're swimming, you have to hold your breath and you have a little bit of hypoxia happening. And when you do a lot of swimming, you hold your breath when you swim. The little bit of hypoxia will help you with that. But realistically, it is going to be very, very hard. When they did the Mexico Olympics, a lot of elite runners, when they competed there, they got personal worst times. At sea level, they compete really fast, but at Mexico City Olympics, the performance is really bad because it was at altitude. Anybody who goes from sea level to altitude and they're trying to perform to their best level, they will not get the best level. It's not possible because when you go up to a high, so altitude meaning anything above 2,500 meters, okay, your performance will drop. You can maybe spend some time there, spend a couple of weeks there for your body to acclimatize, to get a bit stronger. Then your performance will improve, but it will not be the same as your sea level unless you're fully acclimatized.
Sure. Okay, so next question is from Guninder. He wants to know, if a person is having sinus issues, then what sort of preparation he should be doing while training? I mean, like yoga, drills, what kind of training he should be doing? Anything you can say on that?
Sinus issues.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if it's a medical problem, you probably should get checked out by a doctor. A lot of people with sinus problems, normally they get operated on and get it all sorted out. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you're sick, you've got a sinus infection, you probably should just relax and get your sickness over. Doing yoga and all that may help, but on a mountain, I'm not sure. If you got a serious medical issue, you got to get that looked at, because if not, it can become bad. Yeah.
Okay. Now, very different question from Gaurav Baba. He wants to somebody trains in a hypoxic environment and then he goes to a higher altitude. Then the transition period, he'll be again at a lower altitude. So does it make a difference or does it not?
No. If you're going from high altitude to low altitude, there is no difference. You probably feel much better.
No, but then won't he lose the benefits? Once I'm training in hypoxic environment, let's say generating situation of a 4,000 meters, I move out and go to another 4,000 meters. So during this transition, will it make a difference?
No, it won't. You normally have a few weeks before your body goes back to normal. If you stop training at altitude, like you know from Everest, yeah, you climb Everest, you come down for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you feel like really strong. So it takes about 3 to 4 weeks before your body goes back to normal again. So if you're transitioning from, so my plan this year was to climb 8,000 meter peak, Kanchenjunga, and then go Pakistan and do another to get Gajabram, to do another 2 8,000 meter peaks, all in the one outing. So the transition period over 1 week or 2 weeks is no problems at all.
Okay, good. Yeah, Mama, that's the reason. That's the reason. Once you do the acclimatization, you come down and wait for a weather window to climb for the summit date, and that's the reason you don't lose it till the time the duration is there's not too many days between the two.
Yeah, it won't. A few days won't make any difference.
Right, that's right, absolutely. So other thing, once we were talking about this, there's another thing called a mask which people wear. High altitude. It's not exactly a high altitude mask, but then it's a training mask for runners and all. Do you think it helps?
Nope, you're wasting your money.
Yeah, that's right. I've
You're
done that.
wasting your money.
That's it.
I tell you why. I tell you why. Yeah, if you buy those masks, maybe I don't know, $20, $30, you can get that mask. When you get a high altitude machine, it'll cost you a few $100s. Okay, you put that on, you just suffocate yourself. You're breathing a lot of carbon dioxide back into your body.
Right.
You make the diaphragm stronger because it's hard to breathe. It is not going to help you with your altitude performance at all. I can guarantee you that.
Got it. No, that's the reason those are not very popular. Otherwise, they would have been a big hit.
No,
Okay.
I mean, you think about the physical effects of putting a mask on. It restricts your breathing. I might as well press my nose like that and try to breathe with one nose, like one side. You're restricting your breathing. How is that going to help you? You're just going to get annoyed with a mask over your face. But if you have a mask that is connected to a tube that goes to a machine and that delivers low oxygen, it's different. Okay, it's a totally different.
Yeah, that's a
setup.
different thing altogether. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one last question from the viewers. It's by Giridhar. He wants to know this guy's got a daughter. Sorry. Yeah. So this guy's daughter is 10-year-old. How she should be training? I mean, if she wants to go to altitude and trekking expeditions, those sort of things.
How old? 10 years old.
10 years old.
I have this thing, like if you want to be an athlete, if like a 10-year-old wants to be competitive, my personal feeling is that the parents should not be pushing them. If it's young kids, they should just go out and enjoy the sport and just take it easy. Okay.
Correct.
If you want to go trekking, you're already quite fit. Okay, go. I mean, kids adapt quite quickly, but you need to take them away camping so that they can communicate nicely to you. Sometimes if a kid is not feeling well, they may not be able to express it properly and you don't know what the problem is. You know what I mean? If a kid is feeling, he's going, I've got a headache, and he can't say it and he just goes, oh, I'm not well, I have pain here, pain there, and you can't identify the problem, then it can become a problem. It becomes dangerous. But if a kid is competitive at school, let the kid enjoy themselves, Let them enjoy the sport. It's
too early age, I think.
It is way too early to push them. Any of these young kids coming to my gym because they want to win in their sport, I don't actually allow them to train. If they are with the Institute of Sport because they've already been identified as like talented and all that, then well, the coach is training with them, I let them. But parents can be a little bit pushy, especially parents who are not athletes. They push the kids too much and then the kids getting angry or not wanting to, they should enjoy. Kids should be kids, they should enjoy themselves.
Right. Okay, then we have run out of time. One last thing, we'll have a quick fire session. Everybody can switch on their videos now. We'll have a selfie and then we'll have rapid fire. So you're ready, JK?
Yeah.
Okay then, first one, Bollywood, Hollywood? Bollywood, nice. Tabu or Deepika Padukone?
Say again?
Tabu or Deepika Padukone?
Oh, Tabu, of course.
Okay. Last question, okay? So if you had one superpower, just one, what would it be?
I would like to be able to travel through time and speak many languages. I like to travel, nice. See all that.
No, it makes sense, the kind of pictures you have.
Yeah.
Right. No, amazing. So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much. I know it's too late for you this time, but then extremely grateful for you making so much of time, sharing so many experiences. We really loved it. Amazing.
Thank you guys for listening to the story and listen some more.
Okay, bye-bye. Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Jai Hind.
guys. Yeah.
See ya.
A beautiful show, sir.